Hello and welcome to a kooky corner of YouTube, where today we are catching up on things we didn't manage to get done in May. And so one of the things that I said we were going to be doing in May, which is now June, is these little owls, the needle felted owls. This is Oddbod, and Oddbod was created when I was away on my holidays with odd scraps I had taken with me. And so let's take you through some of the family. So obviously start off with there is Oddbod. I made two bigger owls than Oddbod, and this is a little bit of felting wool that I had left with me, and so he was created with all the little scraps that I had in my box. There were two big ones like this guy, and I have not I gave them away to friends that I met on when I was away on holiday, so they each have a little owl who's just slightly bigger than this one. So this one is now name is Frazzle. His name is now Frazzle. Thanks, Kim. His name is Frazzle, and he looks quite frazzled, and he came about because I was making the bases of the owls and then found some eyelash yarn on my desk. So again, he came about because of things that I had on my desk. So both of these things have things in common. They were made from scraps. So we are going to be making our kooky owls because they do look quite kooky and quite, you know, they look like they've been plugged into the electric at some point as well. Bless them. But you don't have to be as wild and as woolly as these two guys are. You can take it down to this size and do something this size. He hasn't got his wings yet, but that's going to be part of what I'm going to show you. So he's ready to have his wings done. And we're going to start from scratch, making one out of a completely different colour altogether, but you can pick whichever colour you want for your owl. So pick a colourway. You're going to want a base colour, and maybe so you pick like this blue for your base colour, or you could pick the under bit, which is what I did here. It was like a mixture of all the wools I had left, and then the blue was the over colour. This one, it was like a yellow mustardy colour, and then I've got like a tealy greeny mix for the outer of this one. This guy was just a limey green colour, and then with the eyelash wool over the top, and this was like a mauvey purpley colour with the crazy eyelash yarn over the top. So you can go as normal or as crazy as you want to. You know, this is me. I'm always going to be the crazy one. So we always go crazy colours, hopefully in a nice way. But you could obviously just pick out some normal owly colours if you wanted to. I mean, even this is Larry for some people. For me, this is kind of, yeah, that's an owl. Owl definitely would look like that. No, you could go with browns and rusts, or you could even do like yourself a little snowy owl or a tawny owl, or have a look at some owls. You know, just have a look at some owl pictures. Pick out some colours that you like, or like me, go for the science fiction, space age, alien owls. You know, the choice is yours. Anyway, enough of my waffle. Let's get on to how we actually put these things together. And to be honest, it couldn't be more simple. So first of all, you want some batting. Now I use wool batting because it felt a lot nicer together than the merino wool. If you get merino wool tops, it's all a little bit too smooth for my liking. I quite like something with a bit of crunch to it. And this is, let me see if it says on the bag, it's a Bergschaf wool batting. And this one was from Adelaide Walker. I'll put some details down below. It's from the Adelaide Walker website. And I was trying out something more crunchy than my Corriedale. Corriedale's pretty crunchy actually, so if you've got Corriedale, that will also work well. It's all right, I'm just checking where my microphone is because it keeps sliding around. So Corriedale bat, or this, try and say it again. Actually, I'll just show you. Ugh. Bug Chaff by Adelaide Walker. So either of those two are going to work really, really well for this. And you want it to be kind of not brushed into tops, but kind of a bit woo and a bit way. You know, it's before it's tamed. It's an untamed wool. Right, so once you have got your untamed wool, what you need to do is get yourself a nice decent handful. Now you can then pick what size owl you want to make. So I want a nice chunk of this. And I'll try and make a decision when I've got this chunk here. This is a bit more of a manageable chunk I've got going on. And what you're trying to achieve is, it's not an egg shape, it's kind of an egg shape, but a flattened egg shape. If you can see the shape of this, it's kind of oval, but a little flatter. It doesn't matter if you want to make yours a pure oval owl. I don't know, this one, yeah, he's still quite flat on his backs as well, yes. This one's probably a little rounder. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Probably best if you just look and kind of see some like that, and about yay thick. But these are all things that will come as your piece comes along, because I find that these owls find their own character. It's a really strange thing to say, but that none of them ever turn out in the same way, and it's the same with anything I ever make. As they are being made, they somehow find their own character and they grow into it, and it's a really strange thing that happens, but that's how it works. Anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to kind of floof it a bit, and then we're going to try and gather it into the vague shape of what we're going to want to achieve in the end. This will shrink down as you felt it. As you felt it, it will get harder, it will get smaller. That's the nature of the thing. So I've kind of vaguely got the shape of the owl that I want to make, and I'm going to get my felting mat now. And here comes the fun part. You get to stab something thousands and thousands of times. So if you're feeling frustrated about anything in particular, this is a good way to take it out on something without actually causing any physical damage to anyone. Unless you stab yourself with a needle, which I do not recommend. So you need to keep your fingers well away from it. So felting needles. I have got my 5 felting needle, which sometimes works for these, sometimes I'm not so keen on it. Let me make sure it's unlocked. There we go. And just start felting it together. Apologies for any weird noises, or if you quite like the ASMR factor of a felting needle, then enjoy. It's a process, and it's something that you can do quite mindlessly as well, as long as you're keeping your fingers out of your way. Don't be mindless about that factor. Really, really important to keep your fingers out of the way. If you don't want to be holding it with your hand, you could grab yourself a felting needle and keep your fingers right out of the way, but I don't like that so much, because I like to be able to feel, number one, the texture of what I'm making, and feel the shape and making sure that it's getting to what I want it to be. It's very forgiving as well. You can mould it. Now, if you're not getting on with that, I do like this, and I like it for flat needle felting, but when I'm doing my 3D shapes, I tend to like this one a little more, and this is a Clover 3. Got 3 needles in there, if you can see. 3 twisty needles in there. And I find I like this one more. It does make deeper holes, just be aware of that. It kind of just bites into it a bit more. You just want to be kind of going into the top about as much as that needle is, as far as you can get in anyway, but making sure that you're moving it around to try and get your shape. And I am going to go and continue with this, and I am going to put a podcast on in the background. And podcast of choice when I'm making owls, or has been this couple of days, has been Mysterious Universe. Love Mysterious Universe. Kind of a bit weird and a bit creepy in places. Very interesting, but it's two Australian guys and they keep me very entertained while I am stabbing this owl. Not literally stabbing it, needle felting it, should I say. And so you're going to be working on this until you get to a stage where you've got your wool down to like this. And it's going to be quite hard. You know, it's going to be quite firm, not hard, but firm. So that's where you want to get with this. If you're starting to felt it and it's feeling it's getting too small for you, then all you have to do is grab yourself some more of your batting and then just wrap it around and just keep felting until you get the shape. I mean, if you get a weird shape where it's turning into a pear rather than a rounded oval, then just add in some more batting. It's really simple. So I'm going to let you decide on what you're going to do. Get yourself a handful of your batting, shape it, and then you're going to felt it until it's feeling quite firm. And we'll be back to have a look at the next bit. So this is shaping up now. I just wanted to pop on while I am doing this to say that there are two places that I get my wool from. One of them is my absolute favourite, and I love the company so much because they have so many different varieties, is World of Wool. And I will leave a link down in the description box for you to go and access that and have a little look at World of Wool and have a look in there if you are also maybe vegan or you are intolerant to wool and you can't abide the feel of it, or you just really don't like using wool at all. They have some acrylic fibres in there which will also work for this, and they have bamboo and cotton fibres in there as well, I do believe. But they also have like a nylon-y fabric, which I think would work spiffingly well for this. All are needle feltable. Alternatively, if you've got some time to spare, you could brush out some acrylic yarn. I think I have a video on turning your acrylic yarn into acrylic tops that you can needle felt, or acrylic fibres that you can needle felt. And so I will put a link to that also in the description box, because if you've got some acrylic yarn that you're not using and you want to have go and you can't use wool for whatever reason, then that would be a way to go without you having to spend anything as well. But World of Wool, as I said, is one of my companies that I really enjoy buying from, and the other one is Adelaide Walker, who does beautiful wools also for spinning and needle felting and whatever you want to do. She also does the natural coloured wool that you can dye yourself if you want to. But yeah, I just thought I'd pop on and mention that we're kind of getting the shape I'm wanting. He just needs a bit more felting now to make him a bit more sturdy. And don't forget the sides, and keep moving your piece around. You can kind of have a feel of it and even shape it in your hands if you want to. That sometimes helps, just to get the shape of your owlie going on. Now on the bottom end, designate which area is going to be the bottom, and we want to kind of flatten that out a bit so that at some point you can stand him up and he'll actually manage to keep himself upright. Otherwise, you could pop him in an egg cup and he'd still stand up in that. That'd be fine as well. You've got an old wooden egg cup to stand him in. It gives him a bit more stability. Got me thinking now about wooden egg cups. I have a plan. Isn't it funny when you're doing something, suddenly something else pops into your head and you think, ooh, I could do that as well. get really excited then. And now I want to run away and do some drawing to design the thing, but I am not going to. I'm going to continue with this owl. And then run away and do some drawing when I finished. With the egg cup in mind. And keeping going. And you should also keep going until your owl is firm. So I'm going to continue with this. You continue with yours. And I'll meet you back here in a tick. Okay, so he is now the shape and size I want him to be. And what we're going to look for now is the other colour of wool. Now the other one I've gone for is, it's a carded Perindale bat, and it's lovely. And the colour is called Dream, but it's this beautiful light blue. So I just love it. It's like a violet-y blue, but a light lilac-y violet-y, but I don't know how else to describe it. It's just lush. So I'm going to pull some of that off. And this is going to be his little eary flappy bits there, and also the bit around. Now, what we want to do, if you look at this one, he's kind of encircled all the way around apart from his tummy and where his eyes are. So we want to kind of get that shape going on. So first of all, I want to try and get the shape of the face in there. And this is where you might need to watch your fingers a bit. I'm also going to go for a different needle. This is just a wanna. It's just got one needle in it. And I'm going to try and get this shape needle felted in. So you want like two arches really that go around. So that's going to be like where his beak is going to be. And then you want to be shaping it so that you've got room to put in his eyes. Looks like a mad professor at the moment, doesn't he? Most of my owls look that way at some point, and sometimes I decide to leave them that way. Frazzle, not talking to you at all. Yeah, Frazzle's kind of a mad professory owl. But he was just a whimsy I had once, to try out that eyelash on and see what he looked like. And I will show you how to do that as well. But I need to concentrate on this guy. It's not all about you, Frazzle, or Oddbod. We've got a new creature emerging who looks equally as weird as the rest of you. So stabbing away. And you can take that down there if you want to. You can go in with your 3, and now that one is really good for getting that shape in the middle. It's just trying to get like that triangular shape that goes down the middle. Let me see. I can show you this bit there. That shapy bit there. Keep stabbing. Just keep stabbing. Just keep stabbing. I need a t-shirt with that on it. I don't know how well that would go down though. If you're out and about with just keep stabbing on a t-shirt, I don't think it would work. Or people wouldn't look at you very kindly, or they maybe back away. It's as I say, it's a lovely way to take out your frustrations. There was a meme going around at one point about needle felting. It says, needle felters, or something about, if you know a needle felter, please keep on their good side, because you now know that this person can stab someone 1,000 times and not worry about it. Something like that, anyway. Right, so you may be thinking he's looking a little bald. Well, that's fine, because we just grab more of our wool. And what we're doing is now trying to cover the area where we want him to be covered up. And it's going to wrap around him and down his back. So it will add a little bit of thickness to your owl, a bit more shape to him. and it also covers up anything on the back. If you've had a bit of an accident where you've taken your needles in a little bit too far, then all will be covered by this little top layer that we're doing. Stabbing away. What that is that's in there, little fleck of something. Sometimes in the wool you'll get little flecks of leaf or twig that have been left in there from when it came off the sheepy it came from. Okie dokie, you're taking shape. You're taking shape, little boy. And grab some more wool around to this side. And keep your fingers out of the way. I've been doing this for quite a few years. Well, not continuously. There she is again. She's still felting. She's been there for 40 years. No, I have needle felted for quite a few years. Probably about, let's think, crikey, about 15 years I have done needle felting. On and off, because I am an on and off person. Don't know if you know this about me. You will now. I like to circle around all the different things that I do. I don't know if you're the same. Let me know in the comments if you are a crafter or a maker or an artist of any kind. I have a complete flurry on something for a while, and then my brain goes, let's try something else. Just drift off onto another thing. But I never leave it completely. It always comes back, and I always try and think of ways that I can combine my arty, crafty things that I do. So, yeah, I like to try and combine them, and I've got an idea to combine something that I'll probably share with you at some point next week. Combination of two things that I've enjoyed. But I don't know, it's the way my mind goes. I have never really done just one thing. I'm more of a let's do everything kind of a person, and get really excited by that thing and buy all the things to do that thing. And then once I have done that, then I'll move on to the next thing. It's the way of it, I'm afraid. The way of this particular magpie womble is that I want to do all of the things. By the way, if anybody's bought any of the brooch kits that I have recently had in my Etsy shop, I hope you've enjoyed having the little magpie womble sticker in there as well. I just thought it was something that you would appreciate. And talking of those kits, I literally have just put another 12 kits into my shop for people who said they really wanted one, didn't manage to get hold of one. So I've slipped in another 12. All the fabrics in there are going to be my kind of a bright colour. So just bear that in mind. There's nothing in there that's kind of beige, or it's all going to be bright colours. Well, I don't know why I'm apologising. I'm not going to apologise now. Everything in there is my bright colour schemes. So if that's what you're into, then you'll enjoy the brooch kits. They are a ray of bright, or a ray of light, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, now this guy needs a little bit more around this side here, but you can see what we're doing. I might need to even up his eyes a bit. That arch is a little bit lower than that one, so let's whack a little bit more of this in with my singular needle and play around with this shape. Try and make it even. What's the only problem when I'm filming is I can't actually see it head on, you know, sort of over it. I'm kind of at an angle, so sometimes my vision on these isn't as best as it could be. And that's okay, because as you can see, everything is correctable in needle felting. There is nothing that you can't make good. Promise. It's a promise, a Kooky promise from me to you. Just have a go. I will try and figure out which size needles I've got in here. They're kind of generic. I think they're a 40, but they're like a 40 twist, whatever that is. I'll double check that and I'll let you know. There are lots and lots of different sizes and styles of needle. And if you get yours from where I get mine, then there's a little colour code. So I'll grab all that information out at the end so that you will have that too. Right, okay. You need to be a bit flatter on your bottom. You do. So flatten out his bottom. Like so. Go on, stand up. Go on. Not gonna. You just keep flattening his out until he does. Or you put him in an egg cup. We're vaguely there. Anyway, I'm rushing mine to show you, so I apologise, but you can take much more time over your shaping than I'm taking at the minute. Okay, so we have our Owly Boy shape. Now, we should have some of this left over. So you want to get yourself so big a piece, wrap it around a little bit, and we're going to felt that. So you want to make those, not ears, but kind of like the flappy bits on top of the head. This is one way you want to keep your fingers out of the way. And we're just going to felt it down to make like a little ball shape. I might have a little bit too much here actually. You can always pull it apart, take out the amount you want to take out, carry on. And if you can kind of try and shape it into a ball, start off with, that kind of helps a bit. If you're at all worried, grab one of these, which is a beautiful little finger stall. Again, I do not practice what I preach because I can't get on with them. I put one of those on my finger and I tend to, I'll show you what I do when I put one of these on my finger. Look, I put this on there and then I do that. What earthly use is that? This is what happens to me. This is why I can't wear thimbles when I'm sewing. Literally, I put something on my finger, like a dog with socks on. I can't actually perform when I've got that on my finger. So, go figure. But I will tell the people who can wear things like that on their fingers, if you're at all worried about stabbing yourself, please do wear them. Now, what I want to do is try and get two of these the same size. So you need to go over there, I don't want you. I want to try and get similar sizes so that we can do the tufts. Honestly, that's the word I was looking for, not ears, tufts. We're almost there. Once you are at a stage where you have got some kind of a thing going on there, ball-wise, then you want to position it on top. Actually, I'm going to do it with a one needle because it's a bit more precision is required for this. Again, fingers, keep them out of the way. Can you see? Let me bring you down a bit closer. So what I'm doing is, you don't have to put these on your owl if you don't want to. I just quite like a tufty-eared owl. And you're just attaching it in. If you've left a little bit at the bottom, it just makes it a bit easier. But again, all you have to do is just keep going through the layers. You can go quite deeply with this as well because this will then felt those needles in. Felt the needles? Felt the wool in quite securely. So we're almost there with this one. Spend some time and sort of smooth it out a little bit. I am rushing this one, but you will spend more time than me, won't you? Just say yes, Kooky. And hope you can see. Kind of grabbing the wool from this and pouncing it into the body area so that you can correct the shape and everything as you go along. Don't worry. Don't worry. Be happy. La 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 la. Come on here. Shape it around with your finger a bit. Remembering to keep your fingers well out of the way of that needle. I promise you, you do not want that in your finger. They also advise as well that you wear goggles when needle felting, or if you're wearing glasses, that's all well and good. Because of if your needle breaks and it flies up, then that could be something you might want to consider, or not consider. I wouldn't want to consider that happening, but apparently it does on some occasions, so it might be just a thing to be aware of. I've got my reading glasses on at the minute, and so I think I'm quite safe. But what you don't want to do is to break your needle. So when you needle felting, just needle felting basic, if you've never done this before, make sure your needle goes in and out. Do not put it in and wiggle it around, because that will break this very thin part of the needle, and you will then lose maybe part of your needle inside your work, which is something you don't want to be doing. And worst case scenario, it flies out and causes damage. So breaking needles does sometimes happen, just due to the age of the needle. You just have to be aware. But the less stress you can put on the needle, so you can see me, it's just going in and out. It's not going too far, it's not going too deep, because I'm trying to finish up and smooth out the surface now. So here he is, little tufty little owl boy. Now, the next thing he's going to need, I tend to do this bit next, because then I can fiddle around with the other bits and not worry about displacing them, is the eyes. So you can do this one of two ways. Well, there's more ways. You can think of plenty of ways you could do this. You could felt in a little circle of white felt and then a circle of another colour, and then put a bead in it like I did with Odd Bod. On the others, I have painted some buttons and sewn them on, and that's the method I'm going to show you now, because that's probably the one that I'm enjoying the most. So I'm going to show you that one, because all of these have had painted button eyes. And then I'm going to make some wings for this guy, perhaps. If I can find his wool, I'll make his wings up, because he's wingless and this guy needs eyes. So let me grab out some buttons and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my buttons. These two little blue buttons I think will sit on him nicely. That will work really well there. So what I'm going to do to get the shape on them, I've got a piece of white tack here. I'm just going to put my button there. This makes it easier for me to use these guys, which are my Posca pens. I'm just going to give them a quick shake. You should always give them a shake before you use them. And I'm just going to decorate them with the Posca pens. You can use whatever colours you want. I'm just going to do some dots, maybe some lines. And once you have done them, you will then leave them to dry for a little bit. So I'm going in with this darker blue here. Let's go in there. Like so. Stick that there for a minute. And then I'm going to have a little bit of this peachy colour. There's dots going around there. I like, a little bit in the middle there as well. It's a really simple way to get some owly eyes. I'm going to throw that one across the room. There we go. You've got to dry off there for a minute, and we get to do this one. If you want to take it close to you, obviously you can hold on to this instead of holding on to the button, because trying to hold the button of this size and paint it can be a bit of a challenge. You know, just do whatever you want on these to give them some kind of a pattern. Anything at all. A bit of blue there, a bit there, and going in with this, what is that colour? Apricot, nice. One in the middle, and I'm just going around the edge, like so. You can sit and have an afternoon of making button eyes for owls if you want to. I feel that coming up in my future as well. And what you want to do then is to leave these to dry off, and then we're going to put some kind of a varnishy coat over them, so they are going to dry over there out of the way for a bit. So then all you need to do once they've dried, I have got this Dragonfly glaze. It's like a top coat, or any varnish you've got. This one I like because it gives like a little shift on the colours. If you can see, it gives a little bit of glitz on them. Quite like that. So I've got this that I will finish over. I'll just give those a coat or two of this, and then they'll be ready to use. But what you do is sew them on with some thread, so you get some embroidery thread and sew them into your owl. I kind of do the stitches and catch some of that on the other side. Okay, so yes, the eyes you attach with the embroidery thread, just ordinary pearl embroidery thread or any thread that you have, making sure that you've got something that's going to contrast with your button, because it's going to be on show. So it's going to be like the middle of his eye, if you were doing the button method, that is. And with the thread, I also added some V shapes in to signify the feathers on his chest. So that's just a simple straight stitch in and out. I take it in from the back, hide it, V shape, V shape, V shape, V shape, V shape, and take it back out again and snip it off. And if you get a little bit like that, where it's not just showing and you don't want it to, all you can do, I've left this bit so that I can show you. What you do with something like that is get a little bit of the wool, just a tiny little bit, that's all we need. Pop it over, get your singular needle, and then just felt over it. And that hides any threads where you're stitching through. That will hide any of them. You just need a little bit. Very light needle felt. You don't want to be going in heavy with this, because you're trying to disguise something, not make an issue of it, if you see what I mean. So there, you would never know it was there, would you? No. Right, so eyes on. The next thing you're going to do is a beak, and all you will do for that, let me show you on this one here. Keep interchanging owls so that we can see what I'm going to do. Now, somewhere I have a little bit of yellow wool that I can use, or orange. Let's go with orange. Am I going to go with orange? Yeah, I'm going to go with orange. It's kind of an orangey yellow. We'll do a trade-off. I'm in my little bit box now. That's where I keep all the little scraps of wool. And what we're going to do is to make sure we've not got any other wool hanging around inside. That one's got another bit of wool attached to it. This is going to be his beak. So you can do this one of two ways. You can do it like this, or you can sort of shape it and needle felt it in. Or the way I'm going to show you now is to grab a little bit of actual felt and a pair of scissors and cut yourself a beak shape, which basically to me is a diamond. That's what I'm going to call my beaky shape. It goes on in place where you want it to be, and you just needle felt it in. Well, that couldn't be simpler. That's the simplest way. Instead of trying to get a shape out of your batting, which you could do. Either way is acceptable. You could even embroider a beak on if you wanted to. That's as simple as it is to get your beak on. So the one thing this guy is missing is some wings. Now the way that I make wings is many ways. So for this one I used actual felt, and then I have put some fabric over that felt and oversewn around it, and then made my wing shape. This little odd bod guy only had felt, so he's just got felty wings. This one is the one I'm going to show you now, and it's just to needle felt a piece of flat felt and then cut the wings out of it. And how I would do that, because this is the most complicated of them, I'm going to show you this one, is to grab out some of the contrasting felt to match. I've got my little needle felting brush here. It's a Clover brush. I put this over the top because it stops it from this felt from sticking into it too much. So let's get some kind of a base shape going. This is where this guy comes in. I'm going to take you up a bit further so I don't bash the camera with my stabby tool. I'm just going to flat felt some fabric. This is as simple as this is, and you will need to turn this at some point and do the other side, which I'm going to do now. But it's best to turn it a few times, because even though I've got that bit of protective felt over the top, it still sticks down because you're felting it. And just taking any of those floofy ends and just pull them in and then felt them in. You want to keep going at that until you've got a nice piece of flat felt of whatever thickness you want it to be. These wings on this one turned out quite thick, look. You don't have to go that thick. You do what you want to do. Make an owl with whatever thickness wings you want to make them. We'll keep going. So I'm just going to keep going on this until it's a nice flat piece, and then we'll cut out the wings. Okay, so I've got my piece of felt. I'm going to move that out of the way, clear the space, and then I'm just going to cut out some wing shapes from this. And kind of like a little bit like a leaf, basically. You can see that. Try and get two the same size. You can just lie that over the top and cut around it. Even it up a bit. Even this one up a bit. It's gone a bit wayward. So we have got two fairly similarly sized wings. I'm just going to give them a little bit more of a felting. flip them over. And now we've got 2 wings. Getting a messy desk again. Hold on. Let's clear off some space here. I put all those in my little box with all my little thread gubbins. Oh, they'll get made into something at some point. Then you position your wing on your owl. I'm going to do this with a singular. Wherever you want it to be. And you just needle felt it down as much as you want it to be. You can felt it all the way down there. I kind of like to have his wings flying free a bit. That's what I'm going to do on this one. So just the top part of the wing, I'm going to felt in, and the rest of it's going to be nice and free and flappy. Because that's how I like my owls. Nice and free and flappy. Right, okay, next one. Get it the same distance. Felt it in. Make sure it's in camera. And there he is. You could do with a little more felting on that wing, I can see. But he's almost there. Now he's got wings. Yay! And those bits will go in my bit box to save something else. Now Oddbod's got an older brother. They look cute together. These 2 guys are weird cousins. They can come in as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I am going to save the method for this one to show you tomorrow. So I'm going to be back tomorrow to show you how I do the feathery doos. But that's your basic owl. He's already done. And then tomorrow we're going to have a go at how this one goes. So it'll be the same basic steps until you get to the part where you're adding the second colour on. That changes. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll get to know whenever I upload a video, which is quite handy if you want to come back and see me, which I'm sure you do, don't you? You do, don't you? Yes, you do. And tomorrow I will show you how to do the weird and wonderful woolly effect that you can do on your owl. You'll need some eyelash yarn. This one's quite a leery one, but you can go with whatever eyelash yarn you have. Eyelash yarn you have. Until then, see you very soon with something else. Bye for now.